Hello friends, James Stevenson here with another video about Ford versus GM versus Tesla. One question investors like to ask is, am I investing in a growth company? How is the company I'm thinking about investing in doing now compared to how it was doing in the past? Well, I've put together a visualization to help you understand how Ford, GM, and Tesla are doing now versus how they were doing 8 years ago. Here I will check in with Loki, who has picked his head up. Something in the other room has drawn his interest. So his ears are up and at attention. You can keep an eye on what he's up to in the Loki cam. Here below me, while I turn my attention to these two charts. So I've labeled the one on the left, wholesale units excluding joint ventures. That's the same as we've seen in previous videos where I showed deliveries. I'm just letting you know, for Ford and for GM, I'm not including vehicles that they didn't produce. I'm not including vehicles that joint venture partners in China produced for them. I view that as a licensing agreement and not work Ford or GM did. It's work that other companies did on their behalf. Then for Tesla, there's no such worry about wholesale versus retail deliveries or joint ventures. Tesla doesn't have any joint ventures, and they were the first company granted that privilege in China by the Chinese government. And they don't have any dealerships, so there's no need to differentiate between retail versus wholesale vehicle deliveries. So Tesla is up 1,733,000 vehicles delivered in 2023 versus 2016. You can see the comparison here is how's the company doing relative to 8 years ago. While Ford and GM are both down more than 2 million vehicles sold versus where they were a couple of years ago. Which is why it's a little bit impressive that on the revenue growth chart next to it, all three companies are up. So despite selling, 2.2, 2.5 million fewer vehicles, both Ford and GM have increased their revenue by 24 billion, 23 billion over the past 8 years. Tesla up $90 billion, or about 4 times as much as either Ford or GM over the past 8 years in terms of money they can take to the bank and deposit, exchanged for vehicles they produced. How did Ford and GM grow on the revenue line despite being down on the deliveries line? They had to have done it with charging people more for the average vehicle produced. So some of that came via mix. Both of these companies discontinued small and medium-sized sedans, more value-conscious buyer models. And they have given up on trying to sell those vehicles. They've let the competition, Hyundai, Kia, Toyota, etc., squabble over those low-value market segments while they focus on building trucks and SUVs they can charge a lot more for. That's how their revenue is up. Their rate variance over the past 8 years has been more favorable than their volume variance has been unfavorable. What about for Tesla? Well, Tesla's volume increase has been more favorable than their rate decrease. So 8 years ago in 2016, Tesla hadn't started selling Model 3 yet, so all of their sales were Model S and Model X in 2016 at a very high ASP, over $90,000. That number has come down to about half that much in 2023, but the revenue dollars are still up $90 billion on the strength of huge volume growth. 1.7 million more Teslas sold in 2023 than in 2016. And that's my video for today. So, as I am wont to do, I will check back in with Loki to see that he has buried his head down in his bed. Before, I thank you for watching this video and liking and subscribing or whatever, and for thanking my executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Rebellionaire.com. And I got more videos coming in this series. Stay tuned.